So we have a ton of great news to cover in regards to Tesla stock and the overall market, and it varies from so many different topics like updates on the Cybertruck to top secret emails from Elon Musk, as well as looking into the fundamentals of a couple of things, as well as economic data and economic events. I mean, it is a jam-packed video. I'm going to go ahead and do my best to really consolidate the information and not make it as overwhelming as it often can be. So let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Well, today we saw Tesla stock push up rather aggressively. In fact, if we look at the opening of today till the close of today, we saw Tesla stock nearly close at 4% upwards, right? But this wasn't just unique to Tesla. In fact, if we take a look at the QQQ, which is a NASDAQ index ETF, we see a very similar pattern. We saw the overall markets push upwards. Now, one of the things I've said, not only just exclusively to the Push and Profit private group, but I've also mentioned it in a couple of videos here on YouTube, is that we wanted to pay attention to NVIDIA, right? And I know some individuals may say, oh my gosh, you're trying to talk about Tesla, but you always talk about the earnings for other companies. Well, you have to pay attention to everything that's going on. And the notion that NVIDIA could be a driving force for the entire market may have seemed implausible just a couple of days ago, but that's likely no longer the case. And I know I may have sounded extremely repetitive mentioning about NVIDIA's earnings, but it was for a reason, right? And so one of the things I mentioned exclusively to the Push and Profit private group is that, my forecast for NVIDIA really included showing robust performance across the board. However, there was uncertainty whether this would surpass its existing valuation and premiums, which is an aspect that we were hesitant to predict, right? And the results were, absolutely amazing. I mean, if you looked at the earnings report, I went ahead and broke down the numbers in detail with the Push and Profit private group, but the guidance from NVIDIA was absolutely insane. Let's go ahead and take a look at NVIDIA and see this major move. NVIDIA basically propped up the entire market, along with some other things that we're going to go ahead and talk about, but look at this move pretty much from the open all the way to the after hours, almost 13%. Now, this is crazy for a mega cap stock like NVIDIA that is just insane, right? Now, as I said, the forward guidance was also amazing where, they had a forward guidance figure of 16.5 billion, which is against the 12.5 that analysts predicted, right? And so that means that the AI play is still, or the AI trend is still in play. And that means a lot for a lot of the AI leaders. Like when we talk about Meta, Microsoft, AMD, etc., right? Now, for those of you guys that may be part of the Push and Profit private group, while many may have been astonished that NVIDIA moved the overall market, those that were in the group were, aware that I've been saying this for a while. Even though NVIDIA's had a bigger influence than Microsoft and Apple with less of a weighting, this was something that we absolutely wanted to pay attention to. But we also wanted to, we want to place this in conjunction with what's going to happen Friday from the Fed speech with Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. But before we even get there, let's also talk about why else did we see the markets move up. Well, let's go ahead and, if I could get this working, let's talk about the treasury yields. Now, for a while, I've been saying this on the YouTube channel that, when you have high treasury yields, right, we're seeing yields pretty much hit a peak. Let's go ahead and go to 3 months and see how they hit a peak. And one of the main things is when the 10-year treasury note is hitting a peak, well, that dries liquidity out of the market. Why would investors want to go ahead and put their capital into, a lot of these equities or these stocks when it could be risky, when it's a guaranteed, almost 5% return? It makes no sense. It's like free money, right? And so that's one of the things that was driving a lot of selling pressure in the market. But what did we see for today, right? Let's go ahead and zoom in. We saw that yields started contracting. And so that was, again, another driving force that pushed up the overall market. So it was not only just the earnings for NVIDIA, because that came after the market closed, but pretty much the yields for the 10-year just dropping down like a fly, right? And so that's the reason why I often say to the Push and Profit private group that you want to have the 10-year up, especially during these times, as it's having a huge influence on the overall markets. Now, what else did we saw today, right? Well, if we went on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, we saw Elon Musk make this tweet saying, just drove the production candidate Cybertruck at Tesla Giga Texas. And then if you zoom in, you could actually see Elon Musk's face on his Cybertruck Cybertruck. And of course, this doesn't give us any exact indication on what the prices for the Cybertruck are going to be, right? Or when are they going to be released, right? Those are still hot questions that are still unanswered, but it kind of indicates that we are getting closer to the Cybertruck, right? But along with, this little post on X.com from Elon Musk and the Cybertruck, we also got wind of a leaked email from Elon Musk. Now, it's not confirmed, right? But let's go ahead and go over it, right? So there was this email that says, due to the nature of the Cybertruck, which is made of bright metal with mostly straight edges and sorry, I read that wrong. Mostly straight edges, any dimensional variation shows up like a sore thumb. All parts of this vehicle, whether internal or from suppliers, need to be designed and built to sub 10 micron accuracy. That means all part dimensions need to be to the third decimal place in millimeters, and tolerance needs to be specified in single digit microns. If Lego and soda cans, which are very low cost, can do this, so can we. Precision predicates perfectionism. Elon, right? Now, it's not confirmed whether this leaked email is true. But there's another YouTuber here that sounds redundant. Another YouTuber here on YouTube, right? By the name of Farzad, who definitely covers a lot of Tesla on his channel, and he was a former Tesla employee. And one of the things he mentioned in a recent video today on his channel is that this email from Elon Musk. That's leaked supposedly from Elon Musk is on par with how Elon Musk pretty much writes his emails. He said it's very straightforward. He doesn't waste any extra words, and he's very stern and going straight to the point. And so, it's most likely that this is true. And so this shows us that Elon Musk is really adamant of really perfecting the Cybertruck, which is slightly different from what we've seen in the past, right? So let's go ahead and talk about this, right? So the Cybertruck is coming out after Tesla's already profitable on a lot of its vehicles. But in the past, especially a lot of these other models, they have been released fairly more quicker than what we're seeing with the Cybertruck. I mean, typically after we saw the first vehicle for, I forgot which vehicle came out in 2020, but it pretty much after production of the first vehicle came out, we already had prices for it, right? But that's not the case with the Cybertruck. We don't have really any updates. And so we're seeing like this slower rollout for the Cybertruck kind of syncing with what this leaked supposed email from Elon Musk says, where they're striving for perfection to make the Cybertruck a really strong product, which is absolutely great because they don't have to rush the Cybertruck out. Although, I mean, there is a lot of pent up demand for it, but it's not like previous years where, Tesla was unprofitable and they needed to, release something to become profitable. I mean, this is a completely different story. And so that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. But now let's go ahead and circle back to the economic data. So let's go ahead and talk about this. We talked about Tesla moving up. We talked about the yields actually coming down, which helped push the markets. We talked about the little hints from Elon in the Cybertruck, the top secret email. But what else do we want to pay attention to? Well, just as I've been highlighting how NVIDIA was a very important play to watch for the overall markets, and it's definitely proven that. We also want to pay attention to what's happening on Friday, right? So what's happening on Friday? So we had Fed Chairman Powell giving an opening speech at the Jackson Hole symposium, right? And so why is this important? Well, we want to go ahead and hear an update from the Federal Reserve on what their stance is on monetary policy. And so this provides the opportunity where if we hear Jerome Powell provide a more of a dovish tone from the Federal Reserve, well, that could prop the markets upwards again, and that's definitely good, especially as this has been a very spotty August. I've been telling the Push and Profit private group that August tends to be a very slow month in the sense that a lot of European fund managers take off, and we really don't see action take into the markets until September, right? And then of course September there's a lot of action that takes off with these mutual funds, etc. So definitely something that we want to pay attention to. Now, if we do hear some hawkish rhetoric from Jerome Powell on Friday, well, that could kind of sour this upward move that we've been having for the last couple of days. And so that's something that we absolutely want to pay attention to, right? We already finally got NVIDIA, which posted great numbers. Let me see if I could just highlight or talk about some of the numbers. I know I posted them in the Push and Profit private group, but look at this. Well, you can't see it because I'm not showing the screen from the private chat. But what we had here is NVIDIA's second quarter revenue, 13.5 billion. Estimates was at 11 billion. So definitely a huge beat there. Adjusted earnings per share, $2.70. Estimated it was $2.07. And then, of course, we had the buyback announced where they approved an additional $25 billion share buyback. So, I mean, just a lot of optimistic news for today, not only for Tesla, but again, for the overall markets. I mean, if we take a look at the SPY or the S&P 500 Index ETF, we see the same pattern. Everything pretty much moved up with the yields falling down on the 10-year, as well as the news from NVIDIA pretty much propping up the markets. And then, of course, Tesla also benefited as well, just like the overall market did. I can't say that the top secret email or leak and the tweet from Elon moved Tesla up, but definitely all the other topics that we talked about definitely had a huge contribution for Tesla stock today. But with that said, I want to keep this video rather short and not go and extend it any longer. So definitely look out for the links in the description below, because one of the links is going to be a link for my free weekly newsletter, where every single week we talk about what are some things that we want to be aware of as market participants for what's going on in the overall markets. And in last week's newsletter, we talked about the importance of NVIDIA. We talked about the difference between CPUs and GPUs and how GPUs have a huge impact on AI in the AI space. And we also talked about some other things for this week. And so if you guys want to be a part of that, it's completely free, right? We don't spam you with any emails. Definitely take advantage of that. I'll pin it in the comment section below. And with that said, I'll see you guys on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.